This is one mouth thousand, and this is also one mouth thousand, but in its fresh form. Hello there, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on what time you're watching this. Today we are making this delicious and not so popular food from Ghana. I also get to share with you a story of how I stopped eating this meal. Stay tuned. First of all, we're going to thoroughly wash our fish with water. I'm adding a slice of lime to help remove the strong fishy smell and to kill any germs if they are present. After that, you're going to rinse it thoroughly with another water to make sure everything is clean and nice. These tiny fishes are usually found in the Volta River and other freshwater bodies here in Ghana. Although they are not known to a lot of Ghanaians, they are a very common staple to those who live along the River Volta. After this, now let's get into chopping our onions. I love adding a lot of onions to my food because it adds so much flavor to your food. Did you know that these fishes are called one mouth thousand instead of one man thousand we always say? Because when you scoop a spoonful into your mouth, you can literally fit 1,000 of these tiny fishes into your mouth. Anyway, now it's time to grind some spices. Let's go in with our cloves, which we have to grind up nice and fine. Next up, we'll grind some calabash nutmeg. It's a natural spice that gives a stew that nice authentic flavor. I've also prepped my ginger and garlic, and I'm going to add it up in bits so that I can grind it nice and fine. While I'm doing that, I'm going to put my palm oil on fire for it to be heating up nicely whilst I continue to grind the ginger and garlic. We're going to add a lot of ginger and garlic to help remove the strong fishy smell. At this point, you can add in your red Scotch bonnet pepper and grind it nicely. To make it easier to grind, I added some rock salt. It's a trick I learned to make the process smoother. Now, let me tell you the story about this stew. Growing up, I loved eating one man thousand stew, but I stopped eating it because of a silly reason. You won't believe it. My teacher used to say I had pink lips because I ate too much of it, and the kids would tease me about it, so I stopped eating it for a while. Obviously, because I wanted the teasing to stop and I didn't want to have pink lips because I thought it was a bad thing. Now, back to the cooking. Now that our oil is hot, let's pour in our onions. And then this time around, I didn't pour everything. I left about 15% of the onion so I could later pour it back into the stew. After adding the onions to the palm oil or the red oil, give it a good stir. And here I was fanning it to hasten the process. At this point, you can see our onions are frying in the oil very nicely, and it's now time to add in our chopped tomatoes and some green Scotch bonnet peppers. Now that we've added our chopped tomatoes, we are going to give it a good stir, and then we're going to cover this and let it cook for between 5 to 6 minutes. So back to the story. So we are going to cover this and allow it to cook nicely. I know some people prefer cooking the stew with less tomatoes, but I like to add a bit of tomato paste to balance out the flavors. Give it a good stir and then allow it to cook between 2 to 3 minutes roughly. Next, I'll add a special pepper mix, which is made with natural ingredients and packed with goodness and flavor. The aroma is incredible. The whole environment is filled with delicious smell of our stew cooking. You know, it's funny. I was just thinking about how I stopped eating this stew as a kid because of something my teacher said. But now that I know how nutritious it is, I'm kicking myself for missing out on all those years of eating healthy. This stew is packed with iron, potassium, and phosphorus, and because of the tiny size of the fishes, they are low in mercury. Plus, it's a great way to get in extra nutrients, especially considering the state of our water bodies in Ghana. If you know, you know. I added a shrimp seasoning cube and a little sankofa spices and rinsed the asanka to loosen up our stew a bit, and some rock salt to balance out taste and flavor. So I let the stew sit on a low heat and covered it so it could finally cook. And all we are left is our final ingredient, that is the fish. At this point, I had to add in my onions. Because let's be real, onions make everything better. They're like a magic ingredient that takes your food from a 0 to 100. After adding in my remaining onions, I then went ahead to give it a quick stir so that the onions could soften a bit. At this point, I was tasting to see if everything checked out, and then, as you can see, it checked out. Now it's time to add the star of the show, the fresh 1,000 or 1,000. I'll pour it slowly into it and then give it a good stir. At this point, make sure you stir it so that it could be evenly distributed in the pot, because going forward, you're not going to be doing a lot of the stirring. So I'll give it a good stir and cover it, and it's going to sit on a low heat. At this point, I had to call my mom to taste it, and she was giving it a try and everything checked out. Mom says it's good to go. At this point, if you haven't subscribed yet, please don't forget to do so. I'm new on YouTube and I'd love to have you join me on this journey. Look at this. The stew is boiling and sizzling, and it looks absolutely delicious. I'm so happy with how it turned out. The funny thing is, some people don't even know what this is, and they were guessing all sorts of things. Some said it was basmati rice, and others were way off. But I'm glad some people recognized it and came to testify of how nutritious and delicious this meal is. So our stew is all ready now, and it's so versatile that you can eat it with anything. I ate mine with a soft banku. If you enjoyed this video, please do give me a thumbs up. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. It's bye for now.